Hey everyone, welcome back. In this Selenium Java framework tutorial, we are going to continue our discussion on this particular framework, and we will understand about how we can fix this hard-coded path that we have used in this particular file, right? So at the moment, this file is at specific location on my computer. Now, say for example, you are working in my team and you take this particular piece of code and place that particular file in D drive, right? So you might have to basically either match the whole path like that, or if you place it in D drive and in some other location, then you have to basically keep updating wherever I have hard coded this particular path. Okay, so let's understand what changes you can do in this particular piece of code. It's very simple, simple, line of code that you need to add. And what exactly it is basically there is a system.get property. So there is a system property that you can get, and wherein you can get what is the user directory, the current user directory for the user. So if I say, for example, let me put a print statement there, and I'll just say system dot, there is a method get property, right? So you'll see that get property, and we provide the key here. So what we want is we want the path for this particular user. So if we say user.dir, then it will print wherever this particular location of the file is, or the location of the project is. Okay, so whatever the current location is, it will basically print up to that particular location. So let's quickly let me put some statement here. So I'll say the path is, and then concatenate, right? So we know that this is the statement. So this, it should print the path is, and then it should print the directory, right? So let me quickly save it and run this particular test and see the path that has been printed. So here you'll see, let me stop it. So you'll see the path is, and then you have the C, Eclipse, Java Learning, and this up to test automation framework, right? So what this user.dir will do is it will print us the project path up to this particular level, right? So if we use the user.dir instead of hard coding, then we know that at least up to the user, or up to the level where the code is, you will get the location. So it doesn't matter, I keep this particular piece of code in C drive or D drive, and if somebody else in my team, they are working it, or they have stored it in D drive or any other drive, any other location, as far as this structure is going to remain same, which will be because you will be syncing from the repository. So then it doesn't matter where exactly a person is keeping that piece of code, right? So what we can do is, in the base test, we will simply from this location, from C drive, and this is the hard coding which is specific to this computer. So we can remove this, right? And we know that our config.properties file is in the test src test resources config file and config.properties, which is our project structure, and that's not going to change. So if we just remove this bit here, right? So we'll simply say, instead of this whole thing, we'll simply say system.get property and provide the user.dir. Okay, and with this we just concatenate, right? So we concatenate whatever path will be given by the system.get property, will concatenate with this project path where the config.properties file is, and then it doesn't matter, you are in my team and you get this code, there is no hard coding of any path. So wherever you are using path in your project in the framework, make sure that you use this system.get property and user.dir, so that you do not hard code any of the file path in the framework. Okay, that's the first key, basically, to simplify and make things easy to manage, right? So now I will simply remove this sysout print statement. Okay, that's not required. That was just to explain you why we are doing this get property. Okay, so now if I run this test, it will run exactly the same way, no issues, and it will pick the path, or file path will be basically based on the logic we have written based on the get property, right? So there is no hard coding as such. All right, before that, let me remove this errored test. This was the initial test basically, which we were looking when without any framework approach. So we don't need it. We are converting it to the framework approach. So I'll simply delete that, right? So let me delete. And now our framework is clean and there are no errors. So now if I go to my first test framework, then run as test-ng test, the test should run as is without any issues. So you'll see it is loading and it should launch the browser and go ahead and run the test exactly the same way as it used to run before. Yep. So it has went to the accounts, provided the username and the password, and then clicked on signed in, and here it is, right? So this is because the location has changed. So I was previously in India, now I'm back to Australia. So I need to do a little bit of work here. But overall, the login functionality is fine, but future steps that I have to write, I'll make sure that I click on the update location and then move further. So login wise, it has run exactly the same way it used to run. Okay. And it has picked all the configuration details that were there in the config file in the config.properties, and now there is no hard coding for that location as well. Okay, so this is how you are going to remove hard coding of any of the file path into your framework. Make sure that you do that and you do not use any sort of hard coding. So that's all for this particular tutorial. I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much for watching.